Hello everyone, welcome back here. So we will be discussing about what is the data binding in Lightning. And how the data binding can take place between the Lightning components, and yeah, how many ways we can do so. So first of all, data binding between the components or in the Lightning is like its name suggests, like data binding. We can say like data, how the data get bind between the components, how the data is get floated from one components to another components, or how the data of one components we use to initialize the data means data or attribute of the another components. Okay, so there are a two way, that is called the bound and unbound. Also we call the bound expression and an unbound expression, because whenever we initializing attribute of another components, or any attribute we initialize in the component, that we do through the expressions if we are not hard coding the value, right? So this way we do. So bound expression we donate with this, like the symbol we use, like curly braces exclamatory symbol v dot attribute name, because we refer through the attribute over through the v is maybe you get to know, like v is the view, whatever going to view visible on our UI, that we use to refer through the B namespace. Okay, so that is called the through the bound expression we get through this, and unbound expression denote this. Unbound expression we denote through curly braces hash, means hash and exclamatory is playing the role here. So this way it happens. So like its name suggests bound. So in case of bound, the data used to be the data, whatever data we are using of one component to initialize to the another components. So they are going to be dependent. So if changes happen in the other components where we use the attribute where we use attribute of one component to initialize the another component's attribute. So in that scenario, if any changes happen in the child attribute components attribute, so it is going to also affect our parent attribute. And in case of bound expressions, unbound expressions, so unbound expression means, like its name suggests, both are not bounded. Okay, if we use the component or the attribute of parent component to initialize the child component attribute, so in that scenario, if any changes happen in the child components attributes, that is not going to change our parent attribute. Okay, so I have already created one example to show you how it actually works. So let's move to that part. Okay, so to show you that example, I have created uh, bound and bound parent component, child component I have created, and one app I have created. So first of all, I will talk about the child components. So in the child component, if you see, I have one attribute, child attribute, types string, and I have one button. Okay, that is bound and bound attribute, and calling one JavaScript functions. If you go here in the JavaScript update attribute function, inside that I am just updating the value of setting the value of child attribute. Okay, if I move to the parent component, so in this case, in here I have also one attribute, parent attribute, having the same type, a string, and initializing it with the default value. Okay, and I am also printing the value through the expression. This is the bound expression, sorry, and this is the, let me, this is the unbound expression. Okay, I'm calling my child component inside my parent. Okay, in the, like I shown you, like in the my child component, I have one attribute, so I'm passing the value of this attribute through my parent. Through, first I'll take example of bound expression. So through the parent, means I'm initializing the attribute of child from my parent attribute. So whatever value, current value of this attribute is default attribute. So if the child attribute get initialized with the parent attribute value. Okay, we'll show you the example. I have created one app where I have imported, or I have added my bound unbound parent component. Okay, let's preview this. Okay, see the first statement of my, if you go my parent, so first statement parent bound expression, and this is unbound expression, and this is child. In the child I have printed this value child component. Okay, so you see, like, current, the default value of this field is parent attribute. Okay, so it get initialized with the parent, and I'm updating the value of this attribute, child attribute, in my child controller. Okay, in case of bound expression, what will happen? In like it is called by reference, or I can say the value of both will be bounded. So any changes happen into the child attribute is going to change in my parent attribute. Okay, so let's start. Let's see that value. I'm going to on the click of button, that function get called on the click of this. So let me click over there. So if the output would be what, the value of this bound expression and the value of this get changed. I will tell about this in the just after this, uh, how why the value of this is not get changed. Like I said, unbound expressions. Now let me clear here only. Unbound expression, if you use anytime, so it will be printing the value of the field which get initialized at very first time of your component. Like in the case of parent attribute, at very first time, the very first time it get initialized with this attribute. So always the hash unbound expression is going to print only that value which get assigned at very first time to that attribute. Okay, although I will not make you confused. I will show you the example when I will be discussing about the unbound. So let's start, like we were on the bound. So I said this value and this value is going to change. So let's click on this, change in the child component, change in the child component. Okay, if you go here, I have used unbound expression, bound expressions to print it, and here bound expression. Okay, so now you see, like, bound, in case of bound expression, so the both components, if we have used attribute of one components to initialize the another component's attribute, so in that scenario any changes happen into the child component's attribute, that is going to change our parent, that is going, so in that case the parent attribute is also going to have the same value that we use to initialize the child attribute. So in that case, the parent attribute and child attribute, in case of bound, both will be having the same value if any updation is happen in the child components. Then now moving to the unbound expressions, let me change here the unbound expressions. I am passing here the unbound. So in that scenario, what will happen? Unbound expression it is, so the data of parent attribute means any changes happen in the child attribute, it is not going to change our value of parent attribute. The parent attribute will having the parent attribute value. Okay, so let's see. So in that scenario, this both will be having both expression will be having the same value, parent attribute. Let me refresh it. Okay, got refreshed. So in that scenario, what will happen? These two will be having the same value, and only child components value is going to change. See here, in that case, we have passed this value parent attribute. We have initialized the child attribute using the parent attribute. but we have used the unbound expression. So because of that, my value of parent attribute is not going to impact it through if any changes happen into the child attribute, to which we initialize to the parent attribute, right? So this has happened. And like one thing also I said, unbound expression, if any time, suppose if I change value of parent attribute, suppose I have created one initializer, initial handler, sorry, init handler I have added in my parent component, and in the component init handler I am updating the attribute of parent. Okay, so what you will see, like if whatever value I am accessing through this hash, no, unbound expression, it is not going to show me this value, even I have updated this in my own component. So it is going to have the value which is, at the very first time, when we initialize this parent attribute with the value, this is going to hold the same value although we update this parent attribute explicitly in the parent component itself. So it is not going to take any other value other than the the value which get assigned at the very first time, at the very first time of initialization it is assigned, right? In this case parent. So in that scenario, if you see, let me refresh. In that scenario, like bound expressions will be having the updated value what we change in the controller, but unbound will be having the value which get assigned at the very first time of initialization of that attribute. So I can say the value, this once the value get assigned, so and we are using the unbound expression to get the value of attribute, so it is going to show you that value only, the initialization, first initialization value, not if again we assign any other value to that, it is not going to show you that. So let me show you. See here in the initialization, like we know once our component get loaded, first of all, this how the things get executed. First of all, the default get executed, default value get assigned to that attribute. Afterward, that init, our components call our init handler. So in the init handler, the value is having this. So you see here, unbound expression is showing us the very first time of the initialization value, okay, the parent attribute, and this has been changed in the in that init handler. Okay, so this is the unbound expression and this is the unbound. So because of unbound expression you got it. Okay, and also you are passing this initialize, means you are passing this value bound expression, right? Unbound expression I am passing, so that's why child is also having this value parent attribute. Once I will be updating it, so it is going to update with the child one, but these two will be having this value that is having. So this is how the bound and unbound expressions execute in the lightning, or having the behavior, this behavior they are having. So yeah, that's all about the bound and unbound expression or data binding in the lightning components. So yeah, I hope you will find it helpful, and if you find it helpful, then don't hesitate to like and subscribe my channel. If possible, also I can share it if you think it can help to others. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks.